way. But those are my brothers. I love those guys. So we had a good time out there competing. So
now back to the morning roast with Bonte and Shasky.
That's Las Vegas Raider quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, and how weird it is to see him in a Raiders uniform after spending his last, 5 seasons with the 49ers? Now he's down to Las Vegas playing under Josh McDaniels, former offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, and he loves that offense. Loves Josh. Loves what they're doing. And I heard a lot of connections from Jimmy to Jacoby Myers, a former Patriot. He's got Devontae. He's got Hunter Renfrow in the slot. We'll see if they get Josh Jacobs back. I know he's not in camp, and no Raider fans are worried about him, but boy, Jimmy Garoppolo, apparently he carved up the number 1 defense of the 49ers.
You know, it's interesting. I think I would have been probably classified as somebody who was very frustrated with Jimmy Garoppolo, even though I really did like Jimmy G.
You didn't like Jimmy.
What?
He didn't really like
I did like Jimmy. I was first on that gravy train.
You didn't like what train?
The whole Jimmy G gravy train. Who wasn't optimistic and excited? I almost cried when he tore his ACL for Christ's sake.
We're all on the gravy train.
It's one of my famous moments.
No, you did cry when he got hurt.
Wasn't even on air.
Then you hated him.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you have family. You know, you love them strong and you hate them even more. No, but honestly, I didn't know what I would feel seeing him in a Raider uniform, and would I root against, would I root for? I have to admit, I think I'm going to be pulling for Jimmy G this year, which
Why?
I didn't think I was going to say.
Why? You're not going to hate watch him?
No,
Why?
I actually think I am pulling for him. I just don't have animosity.
You couldn't even give him credit after the Minnesota
I
game
know.
in a playoff game, and now you're rooting for him. Come on,
yeah,
stop
because
the cap.
honestly,
you're capping right now.
No, because
You're
I'm going to tell
capping.
you why. I really feel like when people don't get their just dues or their appreciation in real time, that bugs me. It does bug me.
He didn't get appreciated.
No.
We should have. He
by
changed
the coach,
culture.
by the fans, by myself.
He changed the culture here.
Yeah.
He helped change the culture with the 49ers, and we didn't embrace him, and now Shanahan's out there lying, saying he's the best quarterback the Niners have had since Steve Young. I don't know.
Look, I admit, I have hater tendencies, okay?
Right.
So I'm going to be pulling for him.
So
I can't believe I said that.
Let's bring in our guy, Q. And it's funny, our producer, Sam Lubman, he texted me yesterday. He goes, what's Q's real name? I said, damn, that's a great question. So I scoured the internet looking for Q's real name, and everything says, your boy Q. I've been knowing Q for almost 6 years now when he was down in Waco, Texas, covering the Baylor Bears. Now he's taking over Las Vegas for the Raiders Nation Radio, Raiders Nation Radio 920 AM out in Vegas. Also, Locked On Raiders podcast, Locked On Bets podcast. He does everything with the freaking Raiders, does everything with the Las Vegas Aces, and I still don't even know his name. Your boy Q, what is your government name, or are you keeping that on the hush-hush?
No, it's all good. I always tell everybody, and thanks for having me on, man. I always tell everybody that that's my son's name. It's Keon Myers, but yeah, there you go.
I like your boy Q. I like the fact that you can roll around with Q. When you can roll around with just the letter Q, that's when you know you're somebody. Q, hey, thanks for coming on, man. You always show me love. You show Shasky love, and the Bay Area loves you no matter what. So, inter-squad scrimmages here. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and not appreciating him. How are Raider fans appreciating Jimmy so far? I know it's only been a couple weeks, but apparently he carved up the Niners' first-team defense yesterday. How's the Raider Nation embrace Jimmy so far?
You know, it's still hot and cold when it comes to Jimmy because everyone knows the injury history, and so that's a big concern. And, of course, after having Derek Carr for 9 years, you know, is it really an upgrade at the quarterback position? And we hear all he knows Josh McDaniels' system. Okay, that's great, but he hasn't been in it for a while because he's there in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. So there's a lot of hot and cold fans right now when it comes to Jimmy G, but I do think that they like the fact that he talks a little bit of trash. Like, that was something that stood out to me when Max Crosby talked to us the first time weeks ago when training camp opened up. He said, you know, Jimmy came out the first day and started talking mess to me. And so I think that Raider Nation likes that because they knew the personality of Derek Carr, and that was absolutely 100% opposite. So I think that they're appreciating that, and now they're embracing, since it's that time, it's go time, and this is who the quarterback is. Now they're just appreciating the guy that can be Jimmy G. They're just hoping he stays healthy.
So a lot of people were saying that Jimmy G, quote-unquote, outplayed Brock Purdy. What were your thoughts on that?
You know, it's hard to really say in a joint practice, especially as far as we were from a lot of the action, because most of it was taking place on the middle field, and there's 3 fields out there at the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. But, I mean, he did well, right? I mean, he didn't do bad. He's had a couple good days in a row now for Jimmy G. I don't know. I'm interested to see if he's going to practice today because he's basically been on a pitch count. But I think it's more a testament to the Raiders' defense is actually playing better, right? They're looking like they're starting to come together, something that we hadn't seen in a very long time. And they've been doing that now. They've been stacking days, about 4 or 5 days, where the defense looks like, hey, we actually know what we're doing, right? And so that's been something that's been a big surprise. It's not just been Max Crosby. It's been a lot of other guys. So, yeah, Jimmy G did his thing. He's getting familiar with his weapons, and he has some really good ones. And Devontae Adams, it's funny. I don't know if you heard the presser yesterday, but he was talking about Devontae Adams, and he almost slipped and said he's the best wide receiver I ever played with, and he caught himself. Like, I totally saw that coming.
But he is.
He is. He's not that guy. Jimmy's not that guy where he's trying to disrespect Tebow or Brandon Ayuk or anyone else he ever played with. So he almost said it, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's Jimmy for you. We're going to pod you down for just a second, Q. We're going to get you a new line here. We got something popping there. Q, your boy Q, Locked On Raiders podcast, Locked On Bets podcast, at your boy Q254 on Twitter, host of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. He's dialed in on the Raiders, Vegas, everything. You see the enthusiasm me speaking with about Jimmy Garoppolo. So far, it's hot and cold. I think Raider fans want to wait and see what Jimmy Garoppolo can make in 17 games. But, boy, he is set up to have some success in this offense with Devontae, with Hunter Renfrow, with Jacoby Myers. That's a hell of a trio at the wide receiver spot for Jimmy.
What was harder to swallow, the Niners to embrace Sherman or Raider fans to embrace Jimmy?
I don't know. That's a great question. Well, Jimmy did the Raiders no harm.
Yeah, but there's just that natural rivalry.
It's a natural rivalry. We got to see Sherman twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. The Raiders never even saw Jimmy.
Yeah.
I don't think Jimmy ever played a game against the Raiders. When they did, it was Nick Mullins at quarterback.
But it sure did feel like this station, the other station, for about 4 years, Jimmy or Carr? Carr or Jimmy?
It was a lot
Jimmy
of that.
or Carr?
It was a
Carr
lot
or
of that.
Jimmy?
Yeah, so we got Q back. Q, thanks for coming back on there. How are Raider fans feeling about Derek Carr's departure? You brought up Carr a little bit because we did a lot of that. Who would you rather have, Jimmy or Carr? And we watched a lot of Carr here in Oakland, California. How are Raider fans been embracing that departure of Derek Carr as he's now in New Orleans, ironically working out with John Gruden and company?
Right. Well, a lot of fans are still angry, and hopefully this is a better connection now. A lot of fans are still angry by the way that he was sat down for the final 2 games of the 2022 season, and then they're even more angry because the guys that did it were former Patriot guys, right? I mean, that makes it worse. I mean, I could have benched Derek Carr, and they'd have been like, okay, that's fine. But Josh McDaniels sits them down, coming from the Patriots. They all the Patriot way, and McDaniels stinks. He's a terrible head coach. So there's more hate towards him and Dave Ziegler and anyone who comes over from the Patriots than there is even about Carr being gone. But that's going to be something that a lot of fans are hanging on to, the fact that, well, Carr did this, Carr did that, they did him dirty, this, that, and the other. Look, it's a business, right? At the end of the day, it's a business. We all know that. Relationships and all that don't really matter a whole lot in the NFL. And guys like Josh McDaniels and company aren't really worried about too many relationships. So I think a lot of the fan base is still, tripping on Derek Carr being gone, and they're going to pay attention to everything that the Saints do this year and see, I told you, or they'll say, see, that's why he's gone. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship.
All right, as someone with zero skin in the game, if you will, no bias whatsoever, a lot of hype around Purdy.
Yep.
What were all your thoughts? Give me all your thoughts on Brock Purdy because, the guy was awesome last year, but I'm talking about what you saw yesterday.
He looked pretty good. I thought that there was moments where he looked really good. There was the Raiders defense came up with some nice pass breakups a couple times, and there was one interception I saw from Brock Purdy. But, guys, I've liked Brock Purdy for a long time. As Vontae mentioned at the top, I was in Waco, Texas. I covered the Big 12 like a glove. He came from Iowa State, and I was there at Baylor when they ripped his red shirt off, and everyone said, what are you doing? He's too good to rip his red shirt off. That dude could play, man. He always has been able to play, especially in a pro-style offense coming from Iowa State under Coach Matt Campbell. I wasn't surprised. I didn't think he was going to play at that level. I mean, I'm not trying to be Nostradamus, but I thought that he was going to be a good quarterback. He was just going to need some time to grow in the NFL. But under Kyle Shanahan and with that great defense around him and the great weapons he had around him, he had an opportunity to just go in there and be comfortable. I like Brock Purdy a lot. I hope that injury is gone and in the past, and he's able to continue with his career and be that guy without any setbacks. But, man, he's a good one, and he's always been a good one going back to college.
See, Q, when I watched him at Iowa State, I thought he was just another guy. You know what I mean? I thought he was another guy. And I remember the Iowa game where he got benched, and your boy may have had some juice on that. But I was just like, man, this guy is I don't know. So, all right, that's your impression of Brock Purdy, and he's going to be the starter to start the season, no doubt about that. And we hope his elbow holds up. It was a hell of a story last year. What did you think of Trey Lance?
Yeah.
What did you think of Trey Lance?
That's a great question, and I really don't know, right? I have Raider fans call me all the time and say, well, now that the Raiders get to see him up close and personal, they're going to make a trade for him. And I said, yeah, but what? What has he done, right? I mean, what are you trading for? That's like closing your eyes and throwing something against the wall and hoping it sticks. Like, I mean, he's done nothing but be injured so far. It's like he's almost like a Bigfoot, right? You hear the story of how great he could be, but you've actually never really encountered Bigfoot, right? You've never really seen it, but you know the story. So I don't know, man.
But what did you see yesterday?
Not much. He ran with the third string, right? In the first play, he fumbled. So it's like there's not a whole lot of anything that to talk about with Trey Lance. When Sam Darnold's before you, it kind of tells you all you need to know.
Wow. So you thought Sam Darnold...
Very interesting.
So Sam Darnold played before Trey yesterday, and how did Sam Darnold look at all? Did you notice anything different with him? Did he see ghosts? What was your impression of Sam Darnold?
No, he was okay. You know, he was nothing to write home about. He was Sam Darnold, right? I mean, you kind of know what you're getting with Sam Darnold. The thing about it, what I noticed the most is that Sam Darnold got snapped before Trey Lance. That stood out. That was like that, wow. Whoa, okay, this is really going down. And so I feel like Sam Darnold's going to inevitably be the backup quarterback, and Trey Lance is going to be, well, he'll be Trey, number 3.
Wow. How disappointing. Wow. If Trey opens up at number 3, I don't see a scenario. I think they would just move off from Trey. I think they would trade him for pennies on a dollar. That's wild. Can you believe, Q, how much draft compensation they traded up for? This is where Shanahan kind of, we love Shanahan, but he gets on our nerves at times. And yesterday he said after practice that Jimmy's a top 15 quarterback in this league, and he's the best 49ers quarterback since Steve Young. Yet he flirted with every single quarterback in the league, it felt like. Didn't scout Mahomes, didn't draft Watson, kept Jimmy, didn't want Jimmy. Did he draft Trey Lance by moving up all this compensation to go get Trey Lance? I don't know if Shanahan knows what he wants, Q. I really don't. And that would be a massive, massive swing and a miss if they just move off of Trey after 2 years after giving up all that compensation.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know it. They'll never, ever get the return on investment if they move on from him. And I think that's inevitable, that they're going to have to move on from him and let him be someone else's problem, man. He hasn't been that guy, and been so injured and banged up, and every time he gets an opportunity, he doesn't take that opportunity, and it's just a big unknown. So at some point, I think he just got to move on, especially if Brock Purdy proves to be really healthy like he looks right now. Then why not? Just cut your losses, call it a day. That was a swing and a miss, and you move on. That's all you can really do.
I'm really surprised here because everybody else seemed to have a very different opinion from you, from Trey Lance. I'm a little surprised that you're coming on here and dumping all this water on our smoke this morning. Keep it 100.
Hey, that's what we do, man. We keep it 100. I'm from the Bay, man. You know how we get down the Bay. We're at 100 all the time.
And so is there any other takeaways here? Because it sounded like Max Crosby absolutely destroyed Colton McKivitz. Are there any things that stand out to you, when it comes, especially to the Niners, when it comes to them, like an area of concern that sticks out from even 2 fields away?
No, I mean, I thought they did a solid job. I really did. It's one of those, people always want to say, who won the day? Who did this, that, and the other? I thought it was solid on both sides. I love the way that the 49ers warm up, man. They had meat juice, man. They came out like it was game day, man. You could hear them yelling and screaming and fired up, and I was like, okay, hold on. I'm about to put some pads on myself. I don't know what I was going to do with those, but they had me fired up. I'm interested to see what today looks like, right? It's nice to go in there and kind of get acclimated, and it was a rainy day at first, and then, a little overcast yesterday, which is weird for this area. But I'm interested to see this morning what it looks like, how they ramp things up, because I don't expect to see any of the starters or anybody who matters on Sunday. So I think today is the day where it really goes down. So this will be interesting later on this morning.
Q, good stuff, man. Sorry to wake you up so early, but I know you got to get to practice in about an hour and 15 minutes, man. You're doing a damn thing out in Las Vegas. So proud of you, man. You found something out there. You moved from Waco, Texas. Now you're in Sin City, Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m. You're covering it all. It should be a fun year of Raider football, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, man. Hey, Vontae Hill wants me on the radio at 6:50 in the morning. I'm on the radio at 6:50.
That's my guy, man. That's my guy. That's my guy. You're my boy Q, and that's how we know you are. We don't even know. The government is scrubbed from the internets. It's your boy Q. Q, have a good one, man.
Appreciate it.
Q.